I guess I like to think that I'm representing the people of Fairfax. Fairfax is a wonderful community. People really care about it. That's why it was so fulfilling to be the chair of the Fairfax Volunteers, because you basically do things that people like and people want. Um, I am basically representing the people of Fairfax, the community. Okay. I guess distilling it down to three important things. One of them would be public safety, and that's, not only is that uh, dealing with fire danger. I dealt with that with chipper days, and where people can clear brush around their homes and raise awareness of why it's important to guard against wildfire. I've also worked a lot with bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, keeping our kids safe on their way to schools. I helped start Safe Routes to School at Manor School, and now it's grown to be, not only a countywide program, but statewide and, in fact, national. Um, it's important for our kids to have a safe way to get around and be in our community. Um, so that's another important part of safety. The budget is another thing that you cannot ignore if you're on the council. I mean, it's important for us to live within our means and stay in so we can pay for the things that we need and not have cost overruns on things especially things that we might not need. It's always a delicate balance there. Another one is community participation in some of the important decisions that are coming before us. In the general plan, it calls for a community-wide conversation about the downtown and what that should look like and how that should function, what people want in the community. And that should be starting this next year, 2014, in terms of having that community-wide conversation so that everybody can weigh in and we can really hash out what will really make us function best as a community in a town. Well, I've worked pretty hard already together with our finance director to making our budget transparent and more readable and understandable. We've come a long way so far, and right now we're reviewing software to make that even more so. Uh, so that's good to have transparency so that people can figure out what's going on. It's also good to have public workshops with, talking about the budget and where the money's going so that people can have the opportunity to understand that. I mean, it's always hard to get people to show up for any meeting, and the budget meeting is probably even more so. If they're budget mavens out there, please, you know, weigh in with your concerns. Um, Let me see. I guess there's a whole lot. We talk about things in public. That we pay attention to the Brown Act and comply with that. Even though the state doesn't refund it, we make a full commitment to that. And most importantly, we have started televising our council meetings, and I think that's extremely important for democracy, so that people can weigh in and find out, and they can basically just observe and see what's going on in their town government. Think it keeps everybody honest, and it's important for democracy in general. I think it should be a public process because this is our community. Well, I think it's cooperation with the public means basically listening to what everybody has to say and taking all the different things into account. Uh, a lot of times the decisions are balancing out various different needs in different parts of the community and coming to a middle ground where everybody can get along and everybody can have it feel like they're protected from the rights of everybody else. Living in a community is always a compromise. I mean, you might like to make lots of noise at 4 a.m, but that keeps your neighbors awake. So there has to be a compromise in the middle there somewhere. So I think that balancing out in terms of my own feelings about things, and I think self-control is what you asked about. I don't see it as a huge issue. I'm not a fly off the handle type guy. I tend to be pretty reasonable and ask people what their opinions are and try to come to a place where the conversation calms down and people can rationally talk about all the different aspects of things so that, we come to a good place in the middle where we're moving forward. Well, what would it look like if done appropriately? I think that people understanding how we're a part of a big community, and I guess this kind of touches on what I've already talked about, in that one individual's rights shouldn't trump the rights of everybody else, but the rights of everybody shouldn't adversely affect one individual. Also, there's got to be a balance there. When people understand how all of their rights and how they live together affects everybody else, that's really, when there's an understanding of that, then hopefully we can all live together as a community and respect each other. I think what you're talking about there is the Brown Act, in that Brown Act basically is intended to keep backroom deals from happening, so that there isn't anything that's veiled from the public. And I think that's really important, really crucial for a democracy. You don't want things to be decided before it comes in the public eye. In Fairfax, we take huge pains to conform to the Brown Act, have all the meetings are televised as much as possible, and we do our thinking in public, which it makes it difficult sometimes from the council's perspective, but really you have to put all the facts on the table, have all the facts talked about in the public forum, and then do your thinking in public, debating the issue, talking about the different aspects, and coming to a decision that really tries to take the community's interests into account and be the best possible decision for the community. I think it's important, if you're going to be representing the public, to do that morally and ethically in the right way. I mean, basically, this is you're dealing with a budget, which is the public's money. You have to watch that and make sure that it's not used irresponsibly. There's a number of decisions that you make that can shape people's lives and the community, in the way that that takes a form needs to really be done in the right way. You can't put yourself or your own needs in front of what the community's needs are. It's important to lead by example. It's kind of like parenting. You need to do the right thing so that your kids can see that and know that that's the way to behave and act. And that's part of being responsible.